What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today we're doing the MLB injury report as of Week 9, 6-1. Happy Memorial Day. So let's just jump right into the content because that's what we do here. Last night, Flaherty goes down, unfortunately, with an oblique issue. And the worst part of all this was he was up to bat. He was hitting. So he hurt his oblique swinging, and then he did not come back into the game. This is awful news for really everybody around, unless you're like a Milwaukee or a Cubs fan, I guess. Like, this is bad for fantasy. This is bad for baseball. I'm a big fan personally of the universal DH. I think that this is a case and point for that being needed. Yes, it's fun to see DeGrom hit a single and get an RBI occasionally. It's fun to see Bumgarner occasionally hit a home run. That's all fine and dandy. But when guys go down like this is bad for baseball. This is bad for fantasy. This is bad for St. Louis. Like, it's not good for anybody. So for me, this is case point proven why you need to have the universal DH. It's not like Flaherty is going to go up there and hit a home run. He likely was going to strike out, just like all the other ones. I don't enjoy watching pitchers strike out. I enjoy watching hitters hit. So for me, this is a tough one, and it sounds like the IL is not only inevitable, it sounds like it's going to happen. And it's hard to say how long it's going to be because we know as we watch this channel, obliques are tough ones, and it's hard to come back from obliques. Luckily, he doesn't have to swing all the time, but yeah, I really don't like that. Moving on to a couple injuries that are reoccurring here. Horrible news here for Kansas City once again. Mondesi, he comes out, he hits a single, he hits a home run, and then he goes back out with the hamstring, same hamstring. We all know, if you watch the channel again, that hamstrings can be tricky. They're a little bit tough to deal with. You need a lot more time than what you think you do. You end up compensating for one leg, and then you end up hurting the other leg. It's really weird. But unfortunately, I think like the worst part of this is that he came back, showed what he's capable of, showed who he used to be, and now he's probably going back on the IL. Now, it's not confirmed he's going on the IL. It's precautionary and all that stuff. But like, if you re-hurt your same leg, like, which kind of leads me to Kyle Lewis, right knee discomfort. Which, if you remember, right knee is the reason he was out for most of the season so far. So he comes out and is feeling pain in that same knee. That doesn't sound good to me. Which I think the worst part of this is I'm sure they did all the tests before. He didn't like tear his ACL. He didn't tear something in there. So what is going on with his knee? That's what's concerning to me is they can't seem to figure out what's going on with this thing. So to me, maybe he's lucky. Maybe it doesn't hurt the next day here, but it's likely for me to go back on the IL, which really hurts Seattle big time. Okay. Loreno here. Loreno to me isn't like maybe a fantasy stud, but he's one of these guys that for me, Oakland's offense kind of needs a guy like Loreno. He's kind of like the glue of the team. You got Canha at the top. Chapman's struggling, so they put him down a little bit lower. Loreno's kind of the guy in the middle of the order that just hits and hits well and does well in real life baseball. The A's are better having Loreno in the lineup, obviously. Um, so losing him, I feel like affects more than maybe it's going to affect Oakland's offense. So, if you have Oakland's pitching, if you have Oakland's bullpen, like this is going to long term kind of affect that. So he might not be a fantasy complete stud, but having him not in the lineup is not going to be good. It's a groin injury. They're not sure how long it's going to be and all that fun stuff here. But what I really want to talk about here today is Noah Syndergaard. So if you follow the channel, we've talked about how it might be time to add him. It might be time to add him. He's coming up soon. They're talking about early June return. And then all of a sudden, you see that he's been shut down again for 6 weeks because of the same elbow is hurting again. So the MRI, it looks like, revealed inflammation, and that's really brutal news. So he had the Tommy John, as we all know. And so here's the problem with me and Syndergaard. The mindset is I got to light up the radar gun. I want to try to throw 103. I need to throw 101. If I'm not doing that, then what am I out here for? I'm throwing as hard as I can. This seems to be the mantra for a lot of pitchers, but for Syndergaard in particular, it seems to be the mindset, right? So you go on with that. you blow your elbow, and then you come back from that, you have the surgery, and then what do? You basically turn around and do the exact same thing. I gotta light up the radar gun. I gotta throw 103. I gotta throw 101. Like, this is what we saw in all these rehab starts. And guess what happens? You hurt your elbow again. So it's, to me, it's like we have to learn from these injuries. I know, like, boy, it's just frustrating watching the same thing happen over and over again. And unless I seriously feel like, unless he has a mindset change where he says, I can't keep trying to throw 101 every single pitch, and I need to like cool it and think about my health and think about like how I can be effective without throwing that hard. You could throw 96 and still be effective, people. So I think unless he has an actual mindset change, I'm not so sure he's ever gonna really come back and be that effective. Honestly, I think he's just gonna be hurt forever. We'll see. He's 28. He's got time. This isn't necessarily a season-ending injury necessarily, but it's leaning more towards it not coming back this year. Let's move on. We're kind of in the Mets block. So Alonso comes back, hits a home run, hits a double. I think it was last night as well. I watched part of that game, and he looked good. The Mets absolutely needed this. They needed somebody back in that lineup, that kind of AAA looking lineup. You know, you had Lindor and Dom Brown, or not Dom Brown. Dom Brown is, if you know who that is, hit me with a comment. uh, Old Phillies prospect that had one huge season. There, I spoiled it, so I guess don't comment. Pete Alonso, they have nothing in their offense, so him coming back is huge. Obviously, making an immediate impact, which is great. J.D. Davis is kind of a weird one because we thought he'd probably be the next one to come back, but all of a sudden they're saying that he's not even resuming anything because of this bruised finger. I realize fingers are kind of weird. If you can't grip a bat, you can't really do anything, swinging at least, or throwing if it's the right hand that you're throwing with. So if it's really that bad, oh boy, we'll see Friday, I guess, in the next update. I guess good news here, Kevin Gausman, and I'm trying to make this quick now because we're going a little long. Kevin Gausman, he came out of the game last night. He tweaked his hip, and I guess it wasn't last night; it was Sunday. It felt like a long weekend. So he come back and he's fine. It sounds like he's going to be fine. They have him slated to pitch. It's nice when the actual player says, "No, I'm fine. I'm going to pitch." And it's not the coach. It's not coach speak. It's not some reporter saying, "Oh yeah, you think he's fine," because that never works out. Gosman's saying that he's fine, and I like that. Brian Hayes, he's coming back, and he's actually hitting well in his rehab games. He's actually hitting home runs, which is good because usually, we talk about this all the time, the wrist usually affects power, and so far it looks like maybe not as much, so maybe he's actually fully healthy. It's taken a while, which I think is good. I think that people rush back from these wrist injuries, and that's probably why the power takes so long to come back. But he was out for a pretty significant time here, so hopefully that's fully healed here. Zach Gallen, another one I'm kind of taking an issue with here. Broke his forearm, came back from that. Now he's got a UCL strain, which is basically like, bro, Tommy John is like at your front door knocking, and he's going to kick your door down in like 2 seconds here. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to pitch through it. We're going to see how it feels, and we're going to, a couple weeks we'll throw again. You know what, dude? Just like, maybe it'll work, okay? It hasn't worked in the history of baseball, but maybe this time it'll work, and maybe you could hold off the Tommy John. It's possible. Some people took the stem cells and they delayed Tommy John for like a couple months. But if you really have a UCL strain, like, there's not really much getting around it. And I feel like I would rather just have the surgery now and be ready for next year, or at least part of next year, as opposed to what's probably going to happen is he's probably going to pitch. They're probably going to reevaluate 50 times, and then he'll have surgery in 2 months or a month or something, and then he'll miss next year too. So to me, boy, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let's move on. Bryce Harper, they don't plan on him returning when first eligible. That's obviously not ideal. I think that there's not a whole lot to talk about here. He's got this left forearm contusion. It's something that I expected him to just return from, but apparently not. Maybe there's more to it. Hopefully there's not more to it. We'll see. But I think that's actually it for the injury report. Let me keep moving on here. Yeah, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time.